everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have an amazing class. Happy 2021. We're excited to get this year off started with some delicious recipes and some great nutrition tips. So, thank you again for joining us today. My name is Jeremy Capone. I am the wellness chef for the Elixir Kitchen, and I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Stephanie Gladman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Stephanie Gladman. I'm the registered dietitian with the Elixir Kitchen program. And so, today we figured our class would be geared towards incorporating more plant-based foods in the diet. So just as a preface, we know that foods like plant-based foods are high in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory properties. And we look at the research regarding oncology and cancer patients, there's lots of science to suggest that is a wonderful diet and food pattern to follow. So we know that chronic inflammation in the body is something that we want to decrease, right? So inflammation at certain times is important and healthy. So if you have a scrape, you want there to be inflammation because that means that your body is fighting whatever is going on. However, chronic inflammation can lead to certain types of diseases. And so it's along with exercise and good sleep, it is important to incorporate those anti-inflammatory type foods into your diet. Where do you get them? Well, eating lots of plant-based foods. And so when I talk about plant-based foods, I don't necessarily mean becoming vegan, right? Based on the American Institute for Cancer Research, the suggested way and pattern of eating is to have 2/3 of your plate coming from plant-based foods and 1/3 of the plate coming from animal-based foods. So let me ask you, when I say plant-based, what do you think of? Most people think of vegetables and fruit, but we often forget all the other great sources of food that come from plant-based food, like whole grains, that nuts and seeds, beans like edamame, chickpeas, white beans, black beans. So for our class today, Jer has gotten real creative in showing us ways to incorporate different colors and different sources of plant-based foods that can also be high in protein. I also forgot to mention healthy fats, right? So olive oil, many types of plant-based oils are all really important to add as well. All right, Jer, so let's start with our first recipe. I believe it's a colorful salad.
Yes. Thank you, Steph. We're going to start off with some color. Like Stephanie mentioned, try to include as much color as you can. And for me, when I think about color and salads, one of my absolute favorites is Thai mango salad. Steph, I don't know, have you tried Thai mango salad before? I'm sure you have.
Yes, I love it.
So I love Thai mango salad. It's one of my favorites, very refreshing. And one of the key things I think that's important when we're talking about, how can we make vegetables taste better? They look so beautiful and they do taste great, but how can we elevate them a little bit more? So I think one of the things that is great in not only Thai food, but a lot of other cuisine is the dressings and the sauces that in small amounts can really have a big impact. So something like a mango salad will usually have a dressing that hits on not just one of your basic tastes, right? So it will usually have a sour component, you usually have a salty component, a sweet component, and an umami as well sometimes. So it's all of this combination of different flavors that really is going to enhance the dish. It's really going to boost the flavors of the vegetables inside. And I think it's a great way to sort of incorporate and enjoy more veggies. Especially if you're not a big veggie fan, I think this is a nice way to kind of do that as well. So what I'm going to do is we're doing a little twist. Mangoes aren't the greatest right now here in Toronto. So instead of mangoes, I'm actually going to use carrots. Might seem a little odd, but carrots have a nice sweetness to them as well. A lot of those root vegetables do, and also very colorful. So I'm going to bring it down to my cutting board here. we're going to get started. And what I want to show you is some of the different vegetables we're going to be including. Okay, so we have some carrots, like I mentioned. We're going to be adding some bell pepper, and bell pepper is one of those ones where you can get creative too. Like you can get orange ones, yellow ones, green ones, red ones. So I've got a couple different colors here. And then this beautiful red onion. So we get some purple, and we call it red onion, but it's really purple. Maybe some, scallion as well. Play around with some of the different colors, try to make it as vibrant as possible. And what I'm going to do is just simply slice up these peppers. Take your time. And I like to do them lengthwise into nice strips. Okay, and I'll do the same with this orange pepper. Okay, really nice strips. And this is a raw salad, so you're going to have this really nice crunch from everything that we add here.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important piece in, a lot of people crave that crunchy texture, and, vegetables all the way. Sometimes people go for chips, and while I totally know that they're different, it's always good to also get those nutrients from the vegetables. And what I want to highlight here is the family of carotenoids. Okay, so you may have heard about these before. They're a type of antioxidant that you get from deep oranges, yellows, red type vegetables. And these are really beneficial in helping with antioxidants. So what that means is that oxidative stress can unfortunately damage the cells and cause certain diseases. And so by incorporating more antioxidants into your body through the different colorful vegetables, like I just mentioned, you're able to decrease that oxidative stress, which therefore decreases the inflammation in the body. So, there you have it. You've got your oranges, your reds from the peppers. And I see Jared's bringing out a carrot,
yes,
really high in other antioxidants like vitamin A as well.
Yeah, so we're going to prep the carrot too. And I want to show you a couple ways in which you can do this, especially if you're not super confident with your knife skills. We want to make it as easy as possible. So I can simply just get a cheese grater, okay? Take your carrot and just run it through the cheese grater, and you have these beautiful little shreds, almost like a coleslaw consistency that would work exceptionally well, okay? And it's super easy, pretty safe. Just keep your finger away from the little blades on there, but otherwise, really simple, really easy, and it didn't take much time for me to get these really shreds.
Great. And the other thing, I know some of our viewers are probably wondering, should I have cooked or raw? And I always say it depends, all right? So if someone is experiencing GI issues, so, gas, bloating, any type of, tummy issues, I always say it's always best to cook the vegetables. This is just a little bit gentler and softer on the tummy. But otherwise, if not, it's great to have raw vegetables. And there's always a difference. So for example, tomatoes, when they're raw, they're higher in vitamin C. Whereas when you're having cooked tomatoes, they're higher in lycopene. And we need both. So if you're able to, and you have both, sometimes have cooked carrots, sometimes have raw carrots. So just something to think about. And, when you do cook those vegetables at low heat, the nutrition value is kept intact.
Okay, so showed you one way to prep the carrot. Really easy. Use a cheese grater, get some nice little shreds in there. Or if you did want to use your knife and you did want to cut it into nice little strips, I'm going to show you how to do that safely. Okay, so we have our carrot here, and I'm going to cut it in half first. It's a little bit easier to manage. So they're about 1.5 to 2 inch in length, okay? And the thing that we want to make sure when prepping any vegetable or any ingredient really is you want to eliminate any of the round sort of edges, right, on your vegetable, okay? Because if it's rolling on your cutting board and you're trying to push down with your knife, it can be a little dangerous. You can, move your fingers in the way, okay? So the first cut I'm going to make is just very thinly on one side, just to create a flat edge. And that way, when I push it over, it's secure, okay? So I have a flat edge, and then now the carrot is not moving around. It's not rolling around at all, and it's much, much safer to cut, okay? I'm trying to bring it as close as I can here. Okay, so now with it secure, take my knife, fingers out of the way. So I'm just kind of using my knuckles to hold the carrot in place. Okay, and then just take your time to create thin strips. Okay, so almost like rectangles. Doesn't have to be perfect, but do your best to get nice
Sure.
shreds.
Sometimes I've seen people use like the word escapes me. When you peel the carrot, like the carrot peeler, could you use that or like as a way to get your carrot strips?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are tools you can use a mandolin. A mandolin's a pretty common one, and you can get really nice thin strips, or they have little attachments where you can do shreds as well.
Okay.
So definitely tools that help. But this is like your old school way, right? So if you just have a knife around, this is how you do it, right? So cutting them into these little kind of thin pieces here, and then take, a couple at a time, or just start off with one, just until you get used to it. And we're going to cut along lengthwise. Again, keeping your fingertips out of the way, just until we get these really nice batons, these really nice kind of strips here, okay? And what this means is that we're trying to keep the textures of the salad pretty even, right? If I have strips of onion and strips of pepper, then I have like big honking chunks of carrot, it's not going to be the easiest eating experience, okay? So we want to try to keep it as consistent as possible. But again, whether you did it by hand, whether you used a mandolin, whether you used a grater, just showing you a couple ways, okay? So beautiful color here, red, yellow, we have purple, orange, green, and now we want to dress this up. We want to make this taste great. It's already going to taste great, but a really nice dressing is going to enhance the flavors here, okay? So I'm trying to be as traditional as possible to this Thai dressing, and so I want to include some things that you would see more often. And the first thing is fish sauce. So fish sauce is usually found in a lot of these, a lot of Thai food in particular. And what it is it just brings this really savory umami flavor and a little bit of saltiness to the dish. Now, if you didn't want to use fish sauce, you can use something like tamari or soy sauce, and just a little bit of amount, and that would bring a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of that savoriness as well. And then to that, we're going to add the juice of, I'm going to add 2 limes because this is quite a bit of veg. Okay. So I have 2 limes, and now the lime juice is going to bring that sour component, okay, which is great. That one's a little slippery. Okay, we're going to squeeze out as much as we can here.
And again, this is adding in that vitamin C, right? Vitamin C is also one of those nutrients that you want to, have more of. And all of these antioxidants, everything that you're getting, it's all part of a healthy immune system, right? So there's no one nutrient that's going to help, save through infection, right? But it's all this like huge kind of, think of it like a factory, right? And all these components are helping build these cars just like your body.
All right, so all that lime juice in there, beautiful. And then I'm going to add a little bit of scallion, a little bit of green onion here. And this is obviously going to give you some more of that vegetal note and little bit of like that mild onion flavor.
Mm.
It's not as hot or not as intense as like the red onion would be. So we're gonna add that there, just slice it up. And then this is optional. I'm adding a chili. This is a red chili. These Thai chilies are not super spicy, but if you don't tolerate heat well, obviously don't add this. This is optional. But what I love about chilies, if you do like chilies, is these freeze exceptionally well. So sometimes they do come in like larger packs of like 6 or 8, and you really only need one for your recipe. Don't let them go to waste. Throw them into the freezer, wash them and throw them into the freezer, and they freeze very, very well. So this was actually one from my freezer. So I'm going to add that.
Great.
It's going to bring a little bit of heat, a little bit of flavor. And so we have the sourness from the lime, we have the savory, the saltiness from the fish sauce or soy sauce, whatever you added there. And then for a little bit of sweetness, usually sugar's added, but I'm just going to add just a little bit of honey, and not very much, like a teaspoon of honey, and that's going to help to balance out all of the other flavors. And I don't need to add any salt because I have the saltiness from the soy and the fish sauce.
Yeah.
And that's about it. So we have this really, really beautiful dressing. And oh, actually, I'm going to add a little bit of a fat too. So you can add sesame oil, or you can add any veg oil. Obviously, this isn't traditional. I have olive oil, so I'm just adding just a couple tablespoons here. And that fat, because there really isn't any fat right now in the dressing, that fat is going to help to transport the flavor a little bit better too. Okay?
Yeah.
So
and it also helps satiate, right? So you feel less hungry when you have healthy fats in your foods that you eat. So it will keep you fuller for longer. When we talk about inflammation and, things to avoid or limit are really around those pro-inflammatory foods. And what are they? Well, they're trans fats, saturated fats, and a lot more like added sugar, right? So we only added a little bit here with the honey. That's okay, right? But it's more when you're having like cakes and cookies and lots of added saturated fat from like butters, etc. So using those unsaturated fats, so found in olive oil, for example, is not only helping to reduce and help fight that inflammation in the body, but also providing you with calories to help you feel fuller.
Beautiful. Okay, so I just added the dressing over these veg. Now, this you can absolutely serve right away, but because this veg is it's raw and it's very crunchy, I can even let this sit a little bit in the refrigerator, and the acid from the dressing will help to soften everything up a little bit, and it'll just help sort of incorporate the flavor a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
This is like super, super colorful. Use a big bowl.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I never picked the right bowl, so everything's falling all over the place.
Well, what's really nice about this is that it could be added or be a part of a balanced meal. So, there's not, yes, it has tons of vegetables, but you do want to probably have a protein with it as well. So you can definitely have chicken or fish, or maybe you have plant-based proteins like beans or tofu. But I know that Jer had put something special as an added protein for us.
Yeah, actually, I have a couple things. So the first thing I'm going to add is a little bit of some toasted cashews here, right? Now, it's not a huge amount, but that's going to add some nice crunch to the dish as well, some nice texture. And another thing is, this is one thing we love making, these little egg crepes. So it's like one egg whisked with like a couple tablespoons of water, and you can just season it with a little salt and pepper if you want. And then in a medium pan, you just kind of swirl it around. If you have a nonstick pan, it works better, just until it's nice and thin like this. And then what I do is I just carefully grab the edge, and it will peel right off, and you have this like almost like this little thin egg crepe. Okay, and then what I do with that is roll it up, this, and then take your knife and then just cut it into these almost like little ribbons.
Mm.
And this is a nice little bit of texture, and you're getting some protein as well, obviously, like Steph mentioned. And we're gonna add that. And I did a couple of those because it's a big salad.
Nice.
And we are ready to plate. The last little bit of flavor we're gonna add is some mint.
Mm.
Now you can add some cilantro as well, but I had mint. And this is gonna add some really, really nice flavor. So, ready to plate. Nice high pile.
Oh, it's gorgeous. So much flavor there. You can see, and the color is beautiful. And we always talk about, each color of vegetable or fruit is a clue to the different antioxidants or phytonutrients, which are those compounds found in plant-based foods that can help prevent cell damage, right, and cancer formation. So each color represents different phytonutrients. It's not necessarily important to go into detail about which one you're getting. The important message is to get a variety of color. And we always talk about eating the color of the rainbow. And you might not get every color every time you eat, but this is definitely a good orange day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just topping it with some of that mint, and then I've got a few extra cashews, which we'll kind of throw on top. And there we have it. This is our
Awesome.
Thai-inspired carrot salad.
Beautiful.